That's why I said I didn't really allow anybody into my life that didn't accept me for who I was. And for some people, this doesn't sound like a big thing because some people, they can naturally show up the way they are and they never have to worry about not being accepted because the way they are is just accepted by society. I'm not that way. And a lot of the people who watch my videos or listen to this, as a podcast feel the same way. And so it feels like if I choose myself, that means I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. And that's how it felt for me as well. And the way I was able to connect with people was that I was adding something to others. It was like, yeah, we're alone, but I'm not looking in a way of like poor me, but I'm looking at, look, I can help so many people. Because no matter where you're at in life, there are always people who wish they would have your clarity, who would wish to have your inspiration in life, who would wish to have your energy, right? And so there are always people that you can pull up in one way or another. And once we get to this place and know that I have to be good for myself as much as possible so I can actually, commit to a bigger purpose, we have won. Like it's done. There's nothing that can really get you off course because inevitably there's going to be tragedy in our life. But this is about, a path in life. This is about knowing that you're not regretting who you're becoming. And, sometimes it's failure, 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 failure. But once you go through this dark night of the soul, it really shows you who you are. And I was so afraid the moment I, started fighting back against that person that really pushed me so far. But I also understood that, you actually just mirror to people your essential truth. And through that, they recognize very often if they are willing to look at you, because not a lot of people will, but people, like, sometimes they take like years to like look at who you are, but they can't really look away because they know it just mirrors a truth back to them. Some people are not ready for it at all. Some people are ready for it right away. They recognize that you are mirroring like your truth back to them, and this will just force them to see all the parts that they have taken on that aren't them, and all the things that they have denied in themselves, which are actually them. Because the part of us that is really us, like, it can't be taken away from us. I really believe that. And so I really lost a lot of fear around hurting people by me showing up as authentically as I am, because people, if they're not ready, they're just not going to look your way. And people who are ready, they can take it. Like, it is a transformative experience. And I've had people in my life who've been depressed for many years, and it's not like that is worse or better than the dark night of the soul. I would, say that's a life with a lot more pain, because the dark night of the soul, it doesn't have to be like a long period of time. Depression in so many ways, I think, is, happening because we're not going through the dark night of the soul, because we're not, tapping into who we really are, and we're like not pushed enough to embrace that, like really go into it. And this should not in any kind of way come from a place of you're just not strong enough for the dark night of the soul, that's why you're depressed. Like, I know there are just neurological reasons for people to be depressed. I also know that this is not a choice. There are traumatic events that are just so hard to access that you can't heal them right away. I'm not a clinical psychologist in any kind of way. So please, like, if you're in a situation like this, don't take it from a place of, oh, you're not good enough to do this. I'm talking about people who can handle it, like who are not traumatized to such an extent, or who don't have the neurological challenges because, something isn't happening the way it should. I'm talking about general, like, people who, go through this where you feel like, I can handle this is happening to me. And what I'm saying is this is my experience. And if this is something that can help you through your experience and you pick up what resonates with you, I'm glad I can share it. But I'm sending a lot of love and empathy and compassion for everybody who feels like they can't tap into that and they feel like they're stuck in a place. And if you're somebody like this, share it in the comments. Maybe I can give you some more things that I've gone through. That being said, what I've experienced and who I am isn't the solution for everybody. Like, there are so many people who come up to me in a way of, oh, thank you, you've helped me so much. And like, why should I say something when you're already saying what you're saying? In a way of, why should I share with other people my experience when I can just show them your videos, for example? But there's people who you are going to be able to influence and touch who I could never reach. Not because they're not watching my videos, but just because they are in some kind of way too different to me. Their experience are different than mine. But the way you experience life is something that can help another person. And it is always worth to do that while making sure that you are at your best. So I just honestly believe we all have something to contribute. And that's what's going to make our world better if we really tap into this. And I know it's not easy. I know I'm definitely not an expert on it. This is going to be a lifelong journey of mine. But this dark night of the soul period, and I couldn't even tell you how long it lasted because it was a gradual process from it was dark to, oh, I'm just in a place where it's actually sunshine every day. Yeah, things happen and I get sad, but it was different. Like the cloud that was on top of me was not there anymore. I was like above the clouds. And I still am. So I couldn't tell you when it was like really over, but it was something that altogether was, I don't know, it probably wasn't even a year. Like the really hardest part, maybe a year. Let's say a year. And in that time, I was really in fight mode. I was listening to a lot of music that got me just into warrior, fight. Like I have to dig myself out of a deep, deep hole. And I'm glad I did it. And I had to do it by myself. And I don't believe that anybody can really help you with this, despite like what kind of information you put into your system. So if my video resonates with you, like I'm glad it does. If other videos resonate with you, amazing. I listened to a lot of motivational videos at that time. There were like sports motivation videos. That was the big thing back then. So whatever helps you, take that in. And like sometimes you don't know what people are going through, because this part of my life, I can tell you, nobody was aware. This is not like last month when I said, oh, in November, everybody around me was really worried and I had to recalibrate and I took on too much and I like reached my limits. That was just like how much I was taking on. The dark night of the soul period, it didn't look like anything from the outside. I was still going to work. I wrote the ebook at that time. I started my channel. I actually switched jobs to a much higher paying job. So you couldn't really tell what was going on within me and the grief and the pain and the sadness that came with it. This feeling of just having lost everything. But some things you just can't lose. And that's what that period really brings out.